What's going on, guys? It's Clutch Plays here, and I'm going to be telling you guys about the story of Montrezl Harrell and how he went from the G League to becoming a playoff star. Montrezl was a freak athlete coming out of North Edgecombe High School, where he actually played football against Todd Gurley's high school team. During his high school basketball days, he averaged 16 points and 12 rebounds in his final year at least, but that really did not slow him down from being heavily recruited. Going further back, ever since Montrezl was very young, his father Sam Harrell influenced him to be a huge North Carolina Tar Heel fan, and it worked greatly. Ever since Montrezl was a kid, he's had the dream of playing for them and ultimately winning a championship for his beloved team. However, after Montrezl and his entire family visited North Carolina, Tar Heels actually decided not to offer him a spot on the team. From there, he was devastated, and this gave him the fuel to develop into who he is today. Ever since this day, he came into every game trying to prove himself, as he says, "People who don't know my name will by the time I'm done playing." Now, you guys think many people say things like this, and it's kind of a common thing to say, but the difference between Montrezl and other players is Montrezl actually shows it on the court. He is the one going after loose balls and out-hustling opponents at all costs. He ended up going to Louisville, where he won a championship and made major strides towards becoming NBA material. Being a pretty big Louisville fan, I can tell you he was an athletic monster in college and feared absolutely no one. One of his Louisville teammates, Chinanu Onuaku, who actually played for the Rockets and is currently in the G League, even said that he was on the floor often due to Harrell dunking on him, even though he was a good 3 inches taller than him. This just shows his fearless attitude, like, insanely. Harrell was the 32nd overall pick by the Houston Rockets, mostly due to people doubting his ability to be a big man at 6'7" and his lack of skills. In Houston, he averaged 9.7 minutes per game in only 39 games in his first year. For the rest of this time, he was either sitting at the end of the bench or in the G League for the Grand Valley Vipers. In the G League, he really wasn't doing all that great and was kind of average at best, and this was actually very disheartening for him. This is Clutch Plays in the future, and I just wanted to elaborate more on his G League time. So he actually averaged 18 shots per game and only made 9, so his averages went down a lot, but his points actually went up to 24 points, and then his rebounds went up to 9 per game and assists to 3 per game. And the thing was, he was actually playing 40 minutes per game, so these stats aren't really that amazing. So if you're playing that much in the G League, you're gonna get your numbers. He got pulled up in his sophomore year, and it continued where he spent some time in the G League, but ended up actually starting 14 games and averaging 9 points in those games. His motor never stopped, and he kept working harder and improving his game as much as he could at the time. However, since he really was never a huge part of their team, he ended up getting traded as a very minor piece in the Chris Paul sign and trade deal. This package included Lou Williams, Pat Beverly, Sam Decker, and a future first-round picks. The thing was, almost on all the articles except some of the ones that went very in-depth, Montrezl was not even mentioned in these articles as being a trade asset, and was basically only thrown in the trade to make it work. He was never seen as someone who had value in the NBA, but he kept outworking every single player in the entire NBA and kept trying to prove himself to everyone who doubted him. Once arriving in LA, Doc Rivers was actually extremely surprised and kind of disappointed in his team, since he saw Harrell scoring so much and he really didn't expect it. So he really thought the Clippers were awful since Harrell was scoring so much. However, Harrell started scoring in games, and ultimately, he was probably the greatest find in the entire trade. Once Harrell ultimately arrived in LA, he was overshadowed by Blake Griffin to begin with, as he only had 8 games with double-digit points while Blake Griffin was there. But once he left, Montrezl actually only had 7 games where he had less than 10 points. Blake Griffin left in the exact middle of the season, so the games don't fluctuate at all, and it's basically the same sample size. Now, I know points don't mean everything in the world, but he also increased his rebounding numbers from 3 rebounds per game in November to 5 rebounds per game in April. His assist numbers increased from 0.4 per game in November to 2.8 per game in April. And maybe most importantly, his blocks and steals per game increased from 0.2 each in November to 0.8 each in April. Clearly, once Montrezl reached an organization who actually gave him a chance, he made sure to prove them right. However, Montrezl still had major holes in his game that he needed to improve on, such as his free throw shooting, as he only shot 39% in April. Over the summer, Montrezl makes sure to stay on the grind, as he says he watches his diet, makes sure to get every workout in possible, and during these workouts go 110% because he knows it will help him in the long run. He knows what he needs to improve upon and gets it done because he says it's his job. Air quotations. In this 2018-2019 NBA season, Montrezl Harrell has come out of nowhere and averaged 16.6 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks in only 26 minutes per game. If you put his numbers and how productive he is in his per 36 minutes, he averages 23 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. These numbers are all-star caliber numbers, and this doesn't even show his defensive abilities and his relentless motor. Also, his per, which is a stat made up by ESPN, is actually 23.44, which is 17th best in the entire NBA, ahead of MVP candidate Paul George, Bradley Beal, who's an all-star, and Devin Booker. Also, his field goal percentage sits at 62%, which is good for 4th in the entire NBA. These improvements in his game has put him as one of the front runners for most improved players and has been a major part of the Clippers reaching the playoffs. In the playoffs this year, he has made a name for himself as he has put up incredible numbers against the Warriors, and now that people are actually getting to see him play, they can finally see the intensity he plays with. He is the player that's fighting for extra possessions each play, and those things are what really go unnoticed on the stat sheet. Through the first 3 games of the playoff series against the Warriors, he has averaged 22 points and 6 rebounds while only playing 29 minutes per game. He has stepped up his game for the playoffs and has helped the Clippers do what many thought was impossible, which was taking a game from Golden State. I hope Montrezl will only improve in the future and become a true star player and not only a playoff star as he is now. Thank you guys for watching this video on how Montrezl went from playing in the G League to becoming an NBA playoff star. I really think Montrezl is one of the most underrated players in the NBA and had to go through a lot to get here. I find his story very impactful, and if there is one thing that I took out of this is to never stop working hard. I know that sounds super cheesy, but I do believe it's true, and I hope you guys understand that too. With that said, please like the video and subscribe if you have not already, and I'm out, and peace!
You been like my chain, going to a high stage. She gon' come to my place, do whatever I say. Got a little shawty, she off of Molly, she in love with the drugs. Wanna fuck when I'm done, kick it out, no time for fun. If you talking, show me what's up, got let's echo with the drum. Now you quiet, how it's supposed to be, little nigga, you look dumb. I been in this bitch in my space. What he got that shit, he gotta ship it back across state. When I find a shawty, she can't ever stay in my place. I can't ever fuck cause I don't know what I'm in those days. Won't lose, tryna play the part, but I won't let you though. Not heroic, I can't say these hoes, but damn she flexible. So I bend it like a pretzel, bend it over, touch your toes. Say my name real loud, so your neighbors know I'm home. That little bitch insane, come around tryna pick my brain, but I can't let her though. She thinks she a clever hoe. Now her boyfriend know, she turned to a lonely hoe. All her friends know, hit my line, will never